Welcome to Lombardi's Legends Podcast. It's Dane here with Wags. And Wags, today's podcast is pretty darn special. Green Bay Packers defensive back starter Chandon Sullivan, friend of the podcast, has been on a number of times over the years. We had an opportunity to have him jump on and join us again, and it was just a pleasure, wasn't it?
For sure. Just to catch up to him, talk about what he's been up to this offseason, what he's doing to prepare here for his third year with the Packers, fourth in the league now. Chandon definitely has solidified his spot, not only on this defense or with the team, but as a starter and frankly, as an impact player on this defense. So we're really excited that we've been able to maintain a relationship with him and that he's kind enough to join us again. It's the third year in a row he jumped on with us. So yeah, Chandon is someone that's always great to talk to.
Yeah, big season ahead, I think, for him. He signed his tender this offseason, so he's under contract for this season only. But I think he's still only 24 years old. We bring that up in the pod that we did, and I can't believe he's still that young. So I think every year he's taking a giant leap, and I expect another one this year. I think he's going to solidify that job long term, quite frankly, this season. So Wags, I know that we touch on a lot of different things. I don't want to go too far into it, but just an impressive guy, somebody that kind of came from undrafted to where he is today, and he's going to keep fighting for us, and he's going to be a really important piece of this defense.
Yeah, I remember the first time we talked to him 3 years ago. We talked a lot about what his role or path would be to making the 53-man roster. And now 3 years later, we're talking about a guy that, he's looking to become a lockdown corner in this league. And, he's taken steps towards that every season. Last year, he had a bigger role. He definitely had to, take on some of the better receivers on the opposition, lining up in the slot. So he had more responsibilities, and I think this year it's just going to continue. So I'm excited to see what he's able to put together out on field in year 3 with the Packers. And, he's just a fun guy to watch. So Dane, okay, I think one other thing before we dive into the interview, schedule this year as we're getting close to camp. We actually just did an Instagram live. It's Sunday night as we're recording this pre-cap, and we do plan to do the Insta lives now, I think once a week on Sundays or after the game. If we play on a Monday night, we will do those Insta lives just like we did last year. We took a break on those during the off season. But if you want to join us and engage with us on those lives, definitely be checking that out. And then for podcasts this year, I think we're planning on doing both a recap and a weekly preview. So you should be able to catch a couple episodes a week from us for this season. And we do have a couple of other exciting announcements coming soon. So that's going to be really cool to be able to share some of that news. But for those of you that are following us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc., please definitely like us, share us, give us a positive review. It definitely helps us to know that that you're out there and you're listening, sharing, and that it helps us to be found. So thank you very much for being a listener and following along. We definitely appreciate that. So without further ado, let's get to this interview. Dane, Chandon Sullivan, man, it's a blast to be able to talk to this guy every time we have him on.
Yeah. So Wags, say it with us. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.
With us now, a guy who doesn't really need an introduction to Packer fans. Green Bay Packers defensive back Chandon Sullivan. Chandon, welcome to Lombardi's Legends podcast.
How y'all doing? Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, thank you. We're really hyped to have you on, and it means a lot. We've got you're a three-time now guest, and that means the world to us. When we were first starting out, you jumped on, and every year you come on before camp, and it means a lot to us. I know the fans as well. So, listen, how you been spending your off season so far?
For the first month, I took time away just to, get away from the game, visit my family and friends, travel a little bit. And it was immediately right back to training, get ready for OTAs and, mini camp and now training camp. So,
yeah. And listen, what kind of stuff have you been doing to take your mind off of football? I imagine it's kind of hard to completely unwind, but you said you were traveling a bit. Were you traveling in the U.S.? Were you traveling internationally? How are you kind of relaxing?
Yeah, I went back and forth to South Carolina. That's where I'm originally from, to see family. I went to Puerto Rico. I went to Miami to hang out with my agents. A little bit of everywhere, California, Vegas, just, a couple different places.
I catch a theme. It's warm and fun everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. I had to get away from that Green Bay weather for a little while.
Well, and then it's right back to football, like you said. So we've got a new defensive coordinator. Coach Barry comes in. So how did everything go from your perspective personally and, with the OTAs, mini camps, and how are you feeling heading into camp here in a couple of weeks?
I'm feeling really good and confident. I had a great, OTAs and mini camp. Coach Barry's a high energy guy. He just wants to come out there, have fun, and compete. And he's challenged us to be, the best defense this year. So, I'm excited to get back to it.
Yeah, and we've heard that. We've heard that he's got some energy. That's we hear it come out of camp, quite a bit. There's a lot of talk about the star role in his as well. What's your expectation without giving away any secrets? What's your expectation this year? Do you think that you might get a look there? Are they putting you in different positions than you've been previously? I mean, just, how did minicamp go and what's that look like for you so far?
Pretty much stayed in the slot for the most part, moved around outside and inside. It's just, we'll get a better feel for everything in training camp. But, I feel like the slot is, where I'll be this year.
Okay. Yeah, and you obviously came in and you were fighting for a spot in the roster first year with the Packers a couple seasons ago, had a great camp and then just followed that up with a really excellent first season. Last year, you continued that progression and I think you stepped up with even a bigger role in the defense. So, looking ahead to this season, is there something that you are looking for personally for a goal for yourself that you'd like to continue that progression? I mean, you've been an impact player on the defense the last two seasons. So just kind of curious to hear, what your goals are here for coming into year 3 with the Packers.
More experience under my belt now, and getting an actual full year, just, playing like in a starter role. Now it's just about consistency, just showing, I'm a great player. Week 1 through, the end of the season and playoffs. So it's just about being consistent and proving that, I'm one of the best, at what I do. So.
Yeah, for sure. And what does it mean, do you think, to have some continuity? I mean, you guys have such a talented secondary group. Arguably the most talented secondary group in the league. Now after having been together a few seasons, do you think that that's something that can benefit you individually as well as a group?
Of course, every day when we go to practice, it's a bunch of high energy and young guys, we're relatively around the same age and we have the same ideas and goals. So we just challenge each other every day and we're competing. So training camp's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. We got a couple of new guys on the roster. So we'll just see how things go.
Have you been, and kind of going off of that, how's the energy been in minicamp? I know training camp will be a totally different animal, but in a few days, getting everybody kind of back together, on the defense. Were you guys feeding off each other? Was it like business as usual? I mean, just how did that go for you guys?
It was business as usual. Last time we was on the field, we had a bad taste in our mouth. So, we was eager to get back on the field, eager to learn the playbook. We was competing day one. So training camp, that's another monster. But, we're just going to take it a day at a time.
Yeah, and reflecting back, talking about last season, and I want to talk in totality, and I know we're looking forward a lot on this podcast, but any lessons learned from last season to this season? As Wags mentioned, I feel like every year with the Packers, you take a huge leap forward. So any major lessons learned or surprises from last season that you kind of keep with you now?
I just feel like finishing. We just got to continue to try to finish, the season the right way. We've been so close the last couple of seasons, being in the Final Four teams in the league. We just got to take that next step, and that just comes with maturity and, and focus, and we'll just see what happens.
How are guys feeling, in the locker room? I mean, I know it'll start to really ramp up here a little bit more than off-season program, but, does it feel like everyone is, ready to go? Chemistries, is that something that can, extend from season to season, or just in general? What's the pulse inside the locker room right now?
I think everybody's just anxious and eager to get back to it. Like I said, we had a bad taste in our mouth 2 years in a row. So we turned a lot of guys. We got a lot of guys back healthy. So, we're just ready to get out there and just win and, give our fans what they deserve. So.
I know we appreciate that. I'd be remiss not to ask you about that pick six last season. It was we were going nuts when you scored that touchdown. Can you walk us through that a little bit, because that's one of the all-time highlights of the season is going to be you picking that ball off, rolling into the end zone. Showing off the double guns for the empty Lambeau crowd. So how did that play unfold for you?
We were just in a little bit of zone coverage. I believe it was in a fire zone, actually. So we was able to get good pressure on Stafford. I think it was Rashawn Gary actually got in his face, and he made like I guess he was a little late on the throw, and I was able just to, kind of bait him and, broke on it and rolled in the end zone. So, it's definitely a moment I'll never forget, being my first, NFL touchdown. So it was pretty cool.
Krista Many, I think that's our
yeah, for sure.
Was that something you saw in film? Was that kind of a film study play? Was that a play where it was right place at right time, a little bit of A and B? I mean, did you kind of anticipate that could happen?
Yeah, I mean, I knew, they was going to get the ball to Amendola. I knew I had a big challenge, going into the game. He's one of the best slot receivers in the league. And, of course, they're going to try to feed, early and often. And I knew what type of coverage he was in. I know he was going to get, a good rush. So I just tried to bait him, and he made the throw. And I was like, okay, I got to make the play.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's always interesting. We talk to, you guys about the mental side of the game, the preparation side of the game. Now that you've been in the league 4 seasons and, you're kind of a veteran, right? At this point, do some of the mental advantages that maybe you weren't picking up in that first or second season start to become second nature, where you can kind of play that to an edge against the guys that you're lining up against?
Of course, each year the game slows down. You pick up bits and pieces as you go. And the best way to learn is through experience. I played a lot of games the last 2-3 seasons, and I feel like I'm ready to take the next step and, give my team, the best of me.
You mentioned that too, and Wags, I think you have another question, but you mentioned a lot of games. You've played all the games in the last for the Packers. You haven't missed a game. Is that nutrition? Is that a little luck? I mean, how are you keeping yourself in shape? Because every guy we talk to says like no one's healthy through 16 games. So how are you? Are you feeling good going into this year? And just what's your secret to success so far?
Just as I get older, just staying on top of my diet, trying to add in more yoga and stretching. And then just talking to the vets, seeing how they last so long. I want to play 10 plus years, but in order to do that, I got to take care of my body. So just learning little things as I go, because it's a long season. It's brutal. And, you go into the playoffs, nobody's 100% healthy. It's you just got to, stay mentally sharp and just keep fighting through. So.
Do you think that this season? I mean, I understand there's still going to be some COVID protocols in place, but I'm just kind of curious what your guys' perspective is. Not getting into like the protocols, but things have opened up a little bit. Does that help you guys to relax a little bit off the field? Because I have to imagine, nobody's saying it, but it had to be pretty stressful to be basically locked up and only being able to go to the stadium and play football. I mean, you got to be able to unwind a little bit more than that. So do you think that's something that, you know, could be beneficial for the mental stress of this season as well?
For sure. You know, last year was probably by far the toughest football season I had to go through. You know, I was away from my family for a long period of time. There weren't fans at the game. So it's really just go to practice and, you know, you're isolated at home. So this year with everything opening up, it's going to be a good feeling to see, you know, people in Lambeau Field again, you know, see fans at our training camp practice. It's going to feel more like a regular season. You know, it was odd last year. But at the end of the day, we had a job to do. And, you know, I feel like we did the best we could.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to, you know, to unpack, I think, from last season. No doubt about that. So looking ahead now, going to training camp in a couple days, anything you're looking forward to in camp? Like, how's the playbook going? A new defense coordinator means potentially a lot of new responsibility. So is that going well for you? Is the book, you know, stacked from the floor to the ceiling, or is it been easy to digest?
At the end of the day, it's football. You know, it's only so many covers you can run. I feel like as a, you know, team, we've actually, you know, took the information well and been able to process it. And it, you know, OTAs was pretty smooth for the most part. So we'll just see how training camp goes. You know, I'm just ready to play football.
Yeah, Chandon, if you don't mind, and if you don't feel comfortable answering this, is fine. But you are a guy that, you know, took the route of coming in, you know, unheralded path to the NFL, hard work, made it happen. And like we've said, you know, I'm sure no one ever feels completely secure in their job. That being said, you know, you're obviously an important part of the defense at this stage. So I'm just kind of curious, when you look at some of these younger guys coming in now, is there, you know, is there a part of you that like wants to provide some, you know, mentorship or some advice if those guys are seeking things out from you? You know, is that something that you try to do proactively? I'm sure you're helpful if they ask you, you know, but I'm just kind of curious how you kind of approach that at this point.
Yeah, I'm not the type of guy where if a rookie come in and he plays the same position to me that I'm going to give him the wrong information or wrong advice. That's not how it goes, you know, because at the end of the day, the best player should be on the field. You know, I'm very confident in myself. I work hard. So, you know, I feel like, you know, I'll be out there on the field. So anytime they come to me, I'm going to offer my help just because I've had players along the way help me. You know, I asked as many questions as I could coming in, just, you know, being an undrafted rookie, just trying to figure out how the NFL works. So I just don't believe in, you know, I hear stories about that all the time, how vets, you know, tell guys the wrong play and stuff like that. That's just not me. So,
well, there's a difference between steering incorrectly and maybe a little rookie hazing, right? But
yeah.
A follow up to that, is there any guys that popped out to you that you think we as fans should keep our eyes on as we go forward into camp?
Of course, you know, Stokes, he's a freak of nature. You know, Shamar looked very good early on. So, you know, we got a talented young group coming in. So, you know, we definitely, you know, the vets got to stay on our toes and, you know, never get complacent with anything. So.
Yeah, it's just so rare as we're talking through it. I'm just kind of going through my head. I'm like, my gosh, the last couple of years, it's been you, it's been Kevin, it's been Jair, it's been Darnell, it's been, you know, it's been Amos, it's been everybody. So this is what the third year, y'all are intact. What did it mean to you that Truman Williams came back for a little bit there in the playoffs? Because I remember last offseason we chatted and, you know, we weren't sure what was going to happen there. Ends up coming back for a couple of weeks. Is he a guy you continue to talk with? I know he was somebody that was played kind of a mentor role for the team when he was in
He just brought back that leadership again. You know, he was only there for what, a week, 2 weeks, or whatever the case was. And we just told him, like, T, we trying to win this for you. You know, you're a legend here. And, you know, we fell a little short, but, he was still happy and proud of us, young guys. So, I'll never forget what Truman did for me in my career. So, my hat's off to him and retiring, and, congratulations to him and his family.
For sure. And I mean, not the worst guy to try to follow in terms
For sure.
Of a career. So, you made a good start with that. There's no doubt about that. All right. So, just if you can indulge me a little bit defensively as a unit, what do you think is that next step? You said that you guys are trying to be the best defense.
Mm-hmm.
So much talent on every level, but what do you think that next step is? Is that Coach Barry? Is he the missing ingredient? Is there something specifically that you guys think you can do to raise yourself to that next level? Because you were right there, like you said last year. I thought you guys were a very high functioning defense, and I think honestly, we're not given as much credit as you should have. That second half of the season, you guys were really bringing it on. So it's exciting to see if that carries over to this year. But just curious your perspective. What is that next level?
Like I said, it's just experience. You talked about the same secondary coming up for 3 years in a row, and that's rare, especially in the NFL with, just the business side of injury. So I just think it's experience, and we just continue to harp on, limited explosive plays and forcing turnovers, because we already know what our front seven is going to do. So, the back end, we take pride in, challenging receivers every week and, giving the ball back to the offense.
You talk about the business side. I don't want to go into details, but, we're so excited to watch you, right, year to year. And we are so excited that you were offered a restricted tender. How's your life changed from when you came into the league to where you're at now? I mean, is your perspective changing year to year? Because, you go from a guy who's trying to make a team, and now here you are, and you're, as far as we're concerned, one of the centerpieces of a very, very, very good, we think can be great defense. So how's your life change on the field, but also off the field?
My mindset towards the game hasn't changed. I came in undrafted, so I'm always hungry. I'm always trying to find ways to better myself. And it's just so much. I'm just amazed at how much I've learned each year. Even watching film from the last 2 seasons, I haven't played my best ball yet. Like, I'm still learning. I'm still, growing mentally, physically. And I'm just excited to, finally put it all together and prove that, I could be a lockdown corner, not some of the time, all the time. So I'm just excited to show that.
Going off of that too, I don't think folks remember you're still 24 years old right now?
24. Yes, sir.
24. Did you come to the league at 21? Was that?
I did. Yeah.
I feel
like
like
I turned maybe 22 in training camp, maybe.
Yeah, which is unbelievable, I think, to us, because you've done so much in such a early age. So to your point, you think we've seen these leaps, and do you think that that's something that you're really going to be striving for now in your third year in Green Bay, is to make that next leap and maybe be that lockdown guy that signing that long-term deal in Green Bay and being one of the the main dogs on the defense?
For sure. That's definitely the goal. Each step was just something else. First it was making a team. Okay, now it's getting on the field. Then it was becoming a starter. So now the next step is just being, a playmaker, not just for my team, but, for the league to take notice of. So that's definitely what I'm working towards, and I believe it'll happen this year.
Sure. Well, we're really looking forward to the season getting underway, and Shannon, we want to respect your time. So, Dane, do you have anything else that you wanted to ask?
No. I mean, we could talk all night, but no, we just really appreciate you coming on and being such a great friend to the podcast over the years. And we're going to be cheering real hard for you. We'll see you at camp here next week when camp opens up. We can't wait to pick up.
Well, thanks again for having me. I'm excited to get back to it, and I'll see y'all in a week or so.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind giving us a Go Pack Go before you go, that would be awesome.
Oh, yeah. Go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go. Thanks, Shannon.
Showtime Sullivan. Thank you, Shannon. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yep, take care.
There ain't no second place in the land.